What's up guys, Chris here with Cohesive Friendship Unit. Been playing a lot of Risk of Rain lately, and I thought maybe we could put together some kind of a tier list for this game. No, there's only 6 characters, but they're all very different play styles, and there's a lot of different ways you can play this game, so I thought we would try to break down a tier list. I'm going to be doing 3 tiers, low tier, mid tier, and high tier. The conditions that I'm going to be choosing for tiers is basically everything. So I want to look at synergies with items, I want to look at single player possibilities, I want to look at multiplayer possibilities, and I want to look at the character's abilities as a whole in their default state. But before I get into that, we are doing a giveaway. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel. Every 10 subs, we are giving away a Steam code. That's all you have to do, and you guys have been doing a great job subscribing. We really appreciate that support. But without further ado, let's hit this tier list. So starting at the bottom, working our way up to the top, we're going to start with a low tier, and the first person to hit that low tier is the Artificer. I hope I said that right. I'm going to refer to him as the Mage from now on, because I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right. Anyways, he is a glass cannon. That's the best way to describe him. Jake from Cohesive Friendship Unit said that the first time he played him, and it has held true, he can't really take a lot of damage. He has no dodge potential, and yeah, he's good for DPS, but as we're going to look at later, there's better characters for DPS, like actual tanks that can take hits and evade enemies and deal the damage that needs to be done. And the problem with the Artificer is a lot of the attacks come out relatively slow, so there is more skill involved in your aim. You have to lead your shots more, and there are circumstances where you can burn through all of your abilities and not be able to attack, which especially in the early game when you don't have like reserves of things built up, where you'll launch all your fireballs and you'll have just used your right click and that's recharging, and your fire thing's too far to reach your R ability, and the ice thing is not going to do you any good, so you're kind of just SOL, waiting for things to recharge. That's not a good way to be playing Risk of Rain 2. So unfortunately he's going to hit the bottom of the list. You are basically reliant on getting speed boost items and read those recharge items that will allow you to carry multiple right clicks or multiple abilities. Next on the low tier is the Commando, your default character. The thing with the Commando is, to me, he's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. He's just, one, underwhelming, and two, there's a lot of, like, he is the jack of all trades, master of none, right? Like, he has okay range, okay DPS, okay evasive skills with the roll, but it's the master of none that really shows. It's like, yeah, that roll, it kind of sucks. Why don't I just use Huntresses or Mercenaries teleport? Or, yeah, his DPS is good. Why don't I just use Maltese DPS? So unfortunately, he's kind of going to hit the bottom. The good thing about him is all items help. Like, because he's not super weak in any particular thing, pretty much anything he picks up is going to be particularly beneficial to him. But when it comes to forming a team structure, I feel like it would be better to have, if you're looking at, you want like a tank, someone who can do some healing, and then some kind of unique support classes, he doesn't fit the bid as well as other characters could. But that concludes our low tier. We're going to move into the mid tier, and we're going to start with the Huntress. So the Huntress is really interesting. She has a couple really nice things that I think fits a lot of people's playstyles. She's quick for one. She has teleport, which is really good. This already puts her way above the Mage and the Commando. You don't have to actually aim, which is really nice. You can just hold the left click, because there are some people who aren't, that good at aiming, or similar. It's like the opposite of the Artificer, where you instead of like having the potential for high DPS but actually having to hit your shots, you are always going to hit your shots with the Huntress, even if they're a little lower damage. It's more guaranteed, which is nice. And she can put together some pretty good synergies. She can get that cube, and she can use her raining arrows ability. That's a great combination. She's good at crowd control with her right click, which shoots the disc, which bounces up to 6 times, does a lot of damage. She's not the best for DPS, but she's good for crowd control, and she's good for exploration. Like she's quick and she can teleport, so she can evade and she can find that portal fast. And like I said, her support role is very good for kind of crowd control. And next we're going to go to the second character in our mid tier, the Mercenary, who he's good, but he's a melee character, which isn't, it isn't bad. He shares a lot of similarities to the Huntress, where he has teleport abilities. He's actually able to be aerial for a long time. A lot of the builds that I've seen, you tend to be able to get really good airtime with him, which is nice. Right out of the gate, he has an advantage there, which can be helpful for evading the ground fodder and hitting some of the higher things. And he kind of needs to be able to be mobile because of his melee weapon. The thing that really holds him back is he's kind of gimped in the early game. It is, at the end of the day, it's really nice to have projectiles. He's a fun character to have, and I think he's even not that bad of a support role as like one of your edge kind of characters, because I'm pretty firmly of the belief that you need the two high, if you're going to play with 4 people, you need the 2 high tier characters to do the best. You need the 2 high tier characters, and then you can kind of supplement in any of these 4 low and mid tier as you see fit. And I think the Mercenary is a good supplement to those. He's a little gimped in the early game, but he, assuming you get lucky and you get extra, even more jumps, and some damage buffs, you can definitely put together a pretty fun character and fun build and have some fun runs with Mercenary. Now up to the high tier, and I'm actually, these two are ranked second best in the game in my opinion. And again, in my opinion, if you're going out for a 4-player game, these two need to be in your kit. And that second best character is Multi. He is, for me, with the exception of him being very slow in the beginning, which is very frustrating, and it looks like the devs have said they're going to be working on this, he is the way to go. He has the benefit of having really good DPS, especially if you start getting some good items on him. He has really good DPS, which is nice, and he's kind of a combination of the Commando and the Huntress, and the fact that the Huntress doesn't really need to aim. He doesn't need to aim very much because his railgun comes out so fast. Like, you have to aim in the general direction, but you can correct course constantly, where the Commando or the Mage, you constantly have to lead your shot. Missing shots means a lot more. Multi, you can easily stay on a target because your shots are coming out so fast. He has really good damage potential. He has really, once he gets decently fast with 1 or 2 speed upgrades on his sprint, I would say he's very mobile, but his shift sprint is extremely good at getting out of things on a pinch. His alternate gun, not the rail gun, but his beam gun, gives him some long range shooting. Actually, I think he has the longest range in the game, which is really nice for picking off those flying enemies from a distance as they come in. He is also an absolute tank, which is really nice to just be able to absorb a lot of damage. Like for that big jellyfish boss, I know when people are playing Huntress or the Mage, they'll just run away when that big blue orb comes to get you. When I'm playing multi, I just sit there because it only takes like a third of my health, if that. So I think he's a great tank to have, where he can take a lot of damage and he can deal a lot of damage back. You can just chew through bosses with him, which I think is important in this game, especially in the later difficulties. And again, he's slow in the beginning, but that might be fixed, and I don't think it's like that bad once you get that shift timing down for his sprint. The other thing I want to talk about that shouldn't be overlooked is he can have 2 Q abilities at the same time, and this can be used in a lot of different ways, especially if you keep getting fuel cells. You can use multiple missiles followed by multiple drones, or you can use multiple cubes. You can even have a supplement where you have like a scanner on one, so you can scan to help everyone, and then have a high damage dealing one on your other set. So I think he's a really good all-around character at dealing damage and taking damage. He's got the numbers that your team needs as a whole. And the best in the game for me is the engineer. He is great for single player and great for multiplayer for a couple of reasons. And it's those bubble shields and those turrets, and he has some really good synergies. So those bubble shields will protect you in single player, and they'll protect your friends in multiplayer. Totally impervious to damage inside those bubble shields unless something else comes in the bubble shield. But I mean, that's a godsend for single player. When you don't have your friends to help you, it's good to be able to fall back on. Multiplayer, it's good to have your friends, if they need to heal, be able to go inside. His turrets, again, really great for single player when you don't have buddies, and they're really good for farming cash in general. You can just drop down those turrets and let them do the work for you while you do your exploring. In a multiplayer, once you start buffing those turrets, they are near unstoppable, and they can be good for helping support your crew. Also, really good damage per second once you get those turrets buffed. And on those turrets, the obvious synergy, the memes of all over Reddit, those funguses. Engineer is very good as a support class for healing your team. If you get some funguses or healing items, your team will be pretty set to go. Put those turrets down, put that shield up, and have your multi-targeting down the boss. You are supporting your team with your bubble shields and your mines and your turrets, making sure everyone's all cozy, and then you're supporting other classes. Maybe your Huntress or your Mercenary are doing crowd control and other miscellaneous things, exploring the map, finding the portal. But yeah, that's my tier list, guys. So we have high tier at Multi and Engineer being the best in the game, mid tier at Huntress and Mercenary, and low at Artificer and Commando. Let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know who your favorite character is in Risk of Rain 2. And that's all for me, guys. I will catch you guys next time.